For chapter 3 is a theoretical perspective on parent-child relations, the family as a system. The family is considered basically the building blocks of society. Family is bidirectional influence of the climate of the family group. Families are considered bidirectional because they're more dependent on one another. Concerns about health of contemporary American families. The health of contemporary American families, such as divorce in families and violence and child abuse, are things today that may cause many of the options that were not possible in the past, that also may cause health issues today in the family, and also the changes in family life and family function are also among the things that happen within the health in contemporary African Americans also as well. Survival of family as social institution. It basically is how successfully do families respond to society changes. The way a family responds to societal changes may really have many families that describe families such as an Asinoka's family, which are when family leaders depend on personal life, past experiences to guide their current behaviors to prepare children to function as adults. So that's also based on how the survival of family and social institutions occur as well. Parents as socialization agents, they're breaking down into three different types of parenting, which are developmental parenting, which are changes that occur as both the child and parent grow and develop over time. Bidirectional parenting, child and parent impact each other and give feedback in response to each other's behavior, communication, and influence flow both ways. Lifespan parenting, which is parenting interactions that are manifested in children's character, behavior, and competency throughout their lifespan. In the attachment theory in parenting, the theory was created by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. This theory also is referred to as the Bowlby Ainsworth perspective. It's considered in having consistent, loving parents or significant, reliable caregivers that allows development of trust, foundation, and attachment. This theory also is considered an instinctive attachment for biological need. Bowlby basically explains here where the instinctive attachment is when the mom and infant have that um, direct instinctive attachment, being that the infant survives off of the mom and it needs the mom's attention and caring and nurturing within the first stages of the development of the infant. They also are strengthened by care and responsiveness. Initial studies have also been conducted in orphanages as well. Now, also, they were actually children who they studied with the attachment theory were conducted in orphanages where after basically using this attachment theory to basically see how it works on individuals, they noticed that children were having delayed development due to inconsistent mothering, malnutrition, and lack of interactional experiences with those children. Now, they also did the attachment theory on monkeys, which was Harry Harlow. This was basically when they removed the monkeys from their initial mothers, which basically causes emotional trauma, and the purpose was displayed to contact comfort in the infant. So what they did was place a wire mesh, um, like a wire mesh figure, and they had a terry cloth figure, And after doing this, conducting this research, the monkeys basically were connected more to the terry cloth surrogate that was presented there, and that was basically called the um, point when it's displayed as the contact comfort when infant shows that it needs more for soft, comforting, nurturing sensations by a caregiver. Ecological systems theory and parenting. The ecological systems theory was created by Uri Bronfenbrenner. He was also the co-founder of the Head Start programs as well. And the ecological systems theory in parenting was when roles and effects of different environments on individuals and families functional, also including parent-child relations. Now, it includes when various systems are in a child's life and they influence in promoting the best outcomes within children as well, which is considered the socio-cultural view, and that is when the views are actively involved in direct interactions, which are bidirectional, and they also increase maturity. Now, there were also five nested layers of bidirectional influence, which is provided here, and they're also provided more in detail, also as well within the five nested layers of bidirectional interaction. Microsystem is when the environment provided by family, peers, and school and neighborhoods. Mesosystem interactions between first and all other system facilitates communication between microsystem and exosystem. Some examples are academic performance and social interactions that are influenced by a family's child life and vice versa. Exosystem is when they're in government agencies, community programs, and employment setting of parents. Macro system, larger culture, including bond, community programs, employment, and setting of parents. The macro system is the larger culture, including broad, generalized beliefs, behavior patterns, and value systems of a particular society. And the chrono system is when organization of events and changes over the lifespan of an individual at a particular historical time. And these roles basically emphasize the role of different environments and the influences a family's systems functioning that it has on families being in different type of environments. The family system theory is the first theoretical approach that explains family functioning. It's considered a structural functionalism, social roles of family members, and how the family integrates with other social institutions. The general systems theory application to humans, and this has been applied to larger and physical sciences to explain the complex workings that goes on. Families operate in ways similar to other systems in nature. The family system theory also helps to explain the process of making decisions, setting goals, establishing rules, and to regulate behaviors of how families respond to change and the subsystems of each system. The subsystems basically are when the relationships are with parents and children or children with spouses. Now, the family system is also important in studies of family and parent child relationships as well. So, the family systems theory is basically the focus of how the family is functioning and the relationships that are in the family functioning system as well. Basic concepts of family systems theory. Wholeness is considered when a family is greater than the sum of its parts. Wholeness has to be studied as a family together when they are viewed as wholeness. And interdependence is anything that affects one family member and also affects every other family member to an extent. Interdependence also includes the good or the bad effects that it has on everyone. And it is important to return to the state of balance that is referred to as homeostasis in order to keep that basic family functioning in life. The patterns serve to regulate behavior of members and allow members to anticipate each other's behaviors. Within the patterns, there are rules, which are implicit, explicit, negotiable, and non negotiable roles, as communication styles are also verbal, nonverbal, and contextual. Within the pattern of rules, explicit is outlined so all members know and understand what roles are considered in them, and they also can make changes if necessary. Implicit is nonverbal, but like the parent or the child should know what is considered that they can and they cannot do. Reciprocal interaction and feedback is casualty, is a reciprocal interaction between peoples and systems. It's basically the cause and effect. It's considered as cause and effect, basically as if you do one thing, the response to the cause that have um, caused the individual problems, how the parent or the child responds to the effects. Boundaries is basically when establishing limits that distinguish a family from all others, and they differentiate the members within the family systems. So it's basically when families distinguish their own type of family system and rules. Entropy is disorder or chaos in system functioning that results back from a lack of information or input from outside the system as a means of resolving a crisis or problem. Equal finality is when families share common goals, but members reach these goals in different ways. It's basically when each person has their own type of route or way they may take, but they all reach those common goals. Adaptation, changes, and adjustments that allow the family to continue to function effectively. And homeostasis is the stability over time, and it's also called dynamic equilibrium. Now, homeostasis also has two different phases within, which is morph- morphogenesis and morphostasis. Morphogenesis is when the response to variables that may cause change as far as like growth, like positive change, growth, and creativity are examples. And morphostasis is when things remain stable or remain organized. The systematic family development theory was created by Ernest Burgess, which is considered when family is considered a unity of interacting personalities. It also includes wholeness and interdependence as well. Homeostasis and adaptation also is considered as a family dynamic system which responds to changes within an outside system. It also describes how families changes in association with the passage of time, and also how family members share common processes of development changes that occur over time due to stressors that force them to adapt and undergo transitions. Complex and multi-generational family systems, intergenerational family systems with generation at a different point in the lifespan facing unique challenges. Families are considered similar and diverse within the systematic family development theory. Now, families are also considered complex and multi generational, which is taken as a whole at any point to understand how they function and how they adapt to families as well. The psychosocial development theory in parenting, it was created by Erik Erikson, and it is when mental changes as processed throughout lifespan. It is also considered the extension of Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytical approach. Now, they're considered each stage of life has its own psychosocial crisis, and there are different stages within the psychosocial crisis. The first one is the trust versus mistrust that is considered within the ages of birth to 18 months. And the theme is to receive and to give, learning to trust first relationships. The autonomy versus shame and doubt. The age period within that group is 18 months to 3 years, and that is considered to hold on and to let go. Early initiatives in self care. Initiative versus guilt occurs within 3 to 6 years old. To make two, imitate, exploration, expand, and developmental role. Industry versus inferiority, and that's considered 6 to 12 years old. To make things, to make together, and also social connectedness. Identity versus role confusion occurs within the 12 to 18 years old period. And the theme is to be oneself, to be with others, in individuation, autonomy, and peer relationships. The next is intimacy versus isolation, which occurs within 18 to 24 years old. And that is to find oneself in another, relationships, and intimacy. The next is generativity versus self absorption, which occurs within 24 to 54 years old. That's considered to take care of, including empathy and concern for others. Integrity versus despair is 54 years old to death, and that is considered to reflect on being and not being existential reflections. Also, within the psycho development theory, and parenting phase. There are also significant others that assist or inhibit the development progress in each stage. Psychosocial attitudes or feelings resulting from how well a person can meet and master a particular stage. And it also illustrates reciprocal interaction within a family. Parenting and other related theories. The learning theory is considered the operant condition, which is behavior modification that was created by B.F. Skinner. This role basically shapes children's behaviors because it is an emphasis on roles and rewards. So basically, when one child responds a certain way, they're rewarded positively, but if they respond negatively, then they're rewarded negatively. Now, within the social learning theory, it explains how learning may occur when there is no visible reinforcer or reward. Individuals respond to complex stimuli by forming associations between appropriate and inappropriate behavior, and conscious thought assists in shaping behavior and actions. And within the social learning theory, that's when a person can learn from parents, their beliefs and values within this system. So there are no rewards. They're basically you just learning your beliefs and values. Now, the cognitive theory was created by Jean Piaget. It is when cognitive development shows how humans come to know and understand the world based on cognition, based on schemes. And there are two basic schemes formed in infancy and childhood, which are sensory motor schemes that are based in motor acts and cognitive schemes that are based in symbolism and abstract reasoning. There are also two ways of modifying the schemes. Assimilation occurs when new information is incorporated into existing theme. Accommodation occurs when an existing theme is modified to match reality. Parents provide social and physical experiences that create learning opportunities for children also. Now, this theory is based on the observation, was based on the observation of her own children when she was creating this phase. Now, also for the sensory motor and cognitive skills, the sensory motor schemes are formed in infancy and childhood, and the cognitive schemes are more like patterns or ideas based on symbolism and abstract regional that are formed from early childhood into adolescent and older years that also permit problem solving and attainment of certain goals. Now, the socioculture theory was created by Lev Vygotsky. It emphasizes self efficiency and self esteem. Social interaction is based on the child's learning, how a child's culture shapes his or her way of thinking about understanding the world, and how children are curious and actively involved in learning. It also concerns more knowledge of other, which is a link provided there where you can read more information on it, and also the zone of proximal development, which is also a link where you can also read more information on it as well. Now, with the zone of proximal development, it has a lower and upper limit that encompasses what a child can accomplish in learning a task independently of adult assistance to what can be accomplished when assisted by an adult. Also, it's also considering the socio-cultural theory where children use language to power mental development. Scaffolding is also when any parental behavior that supports children's efforts and more advanced skill acquisition until the children become competent at that behavior. It's also considered assertive and supportive care, and interdependence is central to development. Now, within the cognitive learning theory, the theory was created by Jerome Brenner. It basically consists of cognitive development that parallels physical development. Children must learn to represent their environment in different ways and to learn to think creatively within these phases. They're in active phase, which is action based, iconic phase, which is image based, and symbolic, which is language based. Parent child interactions and cultural technologies also promote mental development, and parents should always provide stimulating language experiences for children. Children are also capable of learning anything that is properly organized as well. This phase is also an emphasis on mental and thinking abilities, which parallel physical development. Parenthood as developmental role, developmental interaction. Now, this phase of parenthood as developmental role was basically created by Galinsky, and within Galinsky's 6 stages of parenthood, the image making stage is when potential parent rehearses what it is like to be a parent with imagery. They basically rehearse what kind of parent they wish to be in this stage. And they also reflect back on the relationship that they've had with their own parents to serve as a guide to assist them in being the best parent that they can be. The second stage is the nurturing stage, which is establishing attachment with the infant. And this is when the stage when they're emerging into parenthood to basically figure out what the establishment is for a new infant. They're basically figuring out in this stage what it's actually like to be a parent and how they would be within the parenting stage. The authority stage, when realization that parenthood involves strong element of adult authority. Within this phase, changes are taking place in children and allow them to master an increasingly wider range of skills that challenge parental interactions. The interpretive stage is when adults assume responsibility of interpreting world for their children. Now, within this phase, parents are acting as interpreters of the world for their children. They basically impact their interpretation of their own particular worldview on their family and values for the children. The interdependent stage is when parents and adolescent children demand that parents re examine the issue of parental authority. Now, this stage includes when parents and adolescents and children demand adults re examine the issue of parental authority and how it is to be played out. Now, the new child who emerges during the adolescence is one who increases the demands to be independent. So, this is the phase where children are demanding to be independent individuals. The departing stage is when parents reflect on all of their experiences in raising their children. Now, within this stage, this is when parents begin to let go of their children and they relinquish the authority over them. So, this is when they're growing up in this stage and they're basically then going and becoming those responsible adults and just going off all of the advice and beliefs that their parents have taught them. And that wraps up the end of chapter 3.